Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're here for another season of WTRLs Zwift Racing League. I hope you've all had a fantastic off-season and your legs are rested up and ready to race. We're starting off the season with a bang as we head into the Climbers Gambit. So we're tackling one lap of the route for all categories. That is only 27.9 kilometres, however that contains 670.6 metres of elevation. There's 3 intermediate points. The first is the only chance for the big sprinty boys to get points on the board, and that's the JWB Sprint Reverse. The remaining 2 are for the climbers, and that is the Titans Grove Climb Reverse, and finally the big one, the Epic KOM. There's 3 power-ups this week, and they are the Feather, and this is the one you're going to want to help out with your climbs, the Van for helping with a bit of drafting, and the Aero Helmet to help with the sprint. It's a really nice mix of power-ups for the season opener. Each one has their uses. There's not a trash power-up like there often is that you just discard straight away, so that's really interesting. And the bike choice, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There's a lot of flat ground, a lot of shallow climbs before you get to the ends. Possibly going to be the Tron this week due to its versatility on the hills and the flats. But if you are only going to contest the sprint, then you could go full aero with something like the S-Works Avenge. I don't think the course is climby enough for a full climbing setup. So out on the course, and we're going to start out at the beachfront pens. So make sure you're warmed up because the first sprint is going to be on you in next to no time. So you're going to start fast along the boardwalk, and we'll pick it up at the end of the boardwalk at the start and finish banner. After the start, it's onto a soft uphill before you get to a more consistent rise and fall before the sprint. So the short uphill sits around 3%, nothing much to worry about, but just be aware because there will be little splits as people take off. We're going to take a left and onto the rise and the falls of these rollers. So how you tackle these is going to determine the first sprint of the day. The little hills and dips do get up to as much as 11% of their peak, albeit they are over very, very quickly. When you hit around 2 kilometres, you're going to get to the last rise before the sprint. So if you're interested in these sprint points, you're going to need to blast up this, hold the speed down the other side and over the bridge. The sprint itself is only 200 metres, pan flat over the bridge. It starts at 2.6 kilometres. So you want to go hell for leather here and try and pick up your sprint points. After that, you get a chance to catch your breath on the flat and over the cobbles before you hit the short rise off the cobbles. It gets up to 4% there for a hot minute before it levels off and we start going back downhill. So compose yourself going over the bridge and get ready to put the power down as you approach the bottom of the Zwift KOM. We're only taking you to the bypass though. As you approach the stone cyclist monuments, the road picks up starting around 5.2 kilometres. But it is fairly gradual until you get to around 5.4 where it builds up to 5% and people are really going to start putting the power down. It hits its highest gradient as you go around the corner, topping out at around 10%. It finally levels off around 5.7 k's when you take a left through the cutting and back downhill, where if you're in a group and you're so inclined to super tuck for a few seconds, get a little bit of rest in those legs, but be careful not to hold it too long and lose the draft on the bottom. Now over the little wooden bridge where the gradient hits around 3% and it's onwards to the redwood forest. And Titans Grove starts with some more rolling ups and downs around 8.6 k's, topping up at around 8%. It's not really enough to cause anyone any issues, but if you're not paying attention you could get spat at the back and have to burn a match to try and catch back on. The rollers continue all the way to the base of the climb itself and serve to burn your legs a little before the KOM section. Now you're going to hit the KOM itself around 12.1 kilometres, so marked with a green light rather than the usual red. This KOM is both fastest through the segments and first across the line points available. So this climb is 890 metres long, an average gradient of 6.6%, and the gradient starts almost immediately through the segment with 5% right out the gate. This is certainly where the race will split up as people make their moves on the slopes. So up you go and you cross the line, marked by 2 piles of stones at 13 kilometres, and the road starts to go downhill and give your legs a little bit of rest and recovery time. The downhill ends at 15.6 and it's back to some more rollers around 4%, peaking at 8. Just pay attention here again, and so as not to lose the draft and have to burn your legs, try to get back on going over these undulations. So back over the bridges and we head right and go under the sea. This is largely flat as we make our way down to the bottom of the epic KOM. So use this time to prepare yourself, get something to eat because you're going to be climbing for quite some time. So this Whopper climb is 6.27 kilometers long, an average gradient of 6.3%, but it is far worse than that as a lot of sections are flat and even a short downhill, which makes the average gradient go down. This is going to be a really tough, really steep climb. So you're going to come out of the underwater tunnels, over the short gravel section, and we start the bottom of the epic KOM after the small wooden bridge at 21.9 kilometers. You're going to instantly be met with 10% section right off the bat. It's going to ease down to around 4% at 22.2 k's and give you a short respite before you turn the corner and the gradient ramps right back up, peaking at 13%. After this, it drops back down to 8% until you get to the bridge, where you get some time at just a mere 3%. So enjoy it while it lasts, though, because the road soon kicks up as you turn to the right and it slaps you in the face. 15% peak, 9% constant gradient at around 23.2 k's, and the 9% continues until it starts to dial back around 23.7. And before you get a welcome downhill dip, it only lasts for a couple of hundred meters and it's back upwards at 24 k's. Only 4 k's left to go at this point, and the road hits double figures once again, sits around 9% consistently until another brief respite at 24.7 k's when it flattens out once again. As before, though, there is no rest for the wicked, and we go back to 9% consistently as we start to see snow on the ground. The hairpin turns provide further steepening of the road up to 15%, and the gradient rises sharply after the hairpin, sitting between 9 and 11%. A short amount of relief is at hand, as we have another short downhill at 25.7 k's for 300 metres, giving you some momentum before you get into an 11% wall at 26 k's. You're getting close though, and there's only about 2 kilometres left to go. Another short flat section approaches as you start to see the chalet at 26.7, and you're onto level ground. Catch your breath quickly, because as soon as the road swings left, you are back on the up and up at 9% plus. As you go under the cable car, you're into the final kilometre. Give everything you've got for those last 1,000 metres. And the road finally starts to flatten out for the last time at 27.7 k's, and then it's a 400 metre sprint finish as you go all the way towards the radio tower entrance and towards the arch. So congratulations on completing this absolutely savage stage. So looking at the overall picture of the race, where does this actually going to break up? So every Zwift race always breaks up at the start. People go off like there's a pack of wolves chasing them. So anyone that's not warmed up, anyone that's not ready is going to get spat out already. Some of the lower power riders that are just on the bottom end of the category, they're going to get spat out right at the start. Next one's going to be down at the sprint, because the pace is really going to pick up into the sprint. And again, if you're out of position or if you're just a little bit low on power, then you're going to get spat right out. So we're going to lose a few more at the Titans Grove climb. It's not going to be as many, because if you've made it this far, you can probably hold on for the short effort over the Titans Grove KOM. But obviously the main breakup point of this race is going to be at the epic KOM. This is going to be anywhere between a 15 to a 30 minute climb, depending on the category, and this is where a lighter rider can really shine. With that said though, if you've got a good threshold power for 30 minutes, you might be able to hang on and grab some points as well. Remember, it is first through the section and fastest through the section as well. So there's a good chance, even if you are dropped earlier on, or you can save your legs to pick up some points at the end. And so that brings us to the end of this really brutal start to the WTRL Zwift Racing League. I hope you've enjoyed this and found it useful, and I will see you guys next week.